Staying with West Asia, let's turn to Iran's sworn enemy, Israel. Their prime minister is facing an arrest warrant. From whom? The ICC, the International Criminal Court. Its chief prosecutor has asked for an arrest warrant. If the judges agree, it will be issued. But what does an ICC warrant mean? Technically, it's like any arrest warrant. You see him, you arrest him. But not every country accepts the ICC's jurisdiction. The likes of Russia, the US and India do not accept it, but 124 nations do. And this includes Israel's allies like France, Austria, Germany and Italy. Those countries will have to arrest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on their soil. It could limit his ability to travel, which is why Netanyahu is furious. He is launching personal attacks at the ICC prosecutor.
Through this incendiary decision, Mr. Khan takes his place among the great anti-Semites in modern times. He now stands alongside those infamous German judges who donned their robes and upheld laws that denied the Jewish people their most basic rights and enabled the Nazis to perpetrate the worst crime in history.
Very sharp words there, but Netanyahu only has himself to blame. He had many opportunities to end this war. His allies asked him to stop. His friends and partners urged caution, yet Netanyahu pushed on. So there is no point blaming the ICC prosecutor now. The same ICC also issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. Now, I know every war is devastating, but Israel's war is much deadlier than Russia's. More children have died in Gaza than across conflict zones in the last 4 years. So simply put, Netanyahu had it coming. But this story goes beyond the arrest warrant. It also extends to the reactions, to the so-called guardians of the world order. When it suits them, they talk about rules and fairness. When it doesn't, they reject them. I'm talking about the United States of America. President Joe Biden is fuming at the ICC. He says Israel is actually protecting Gazan civilians.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. Whatever these warrants may imply, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. And it's clear Israel wants to do all it can to ensure civilian protection.
That's news for us. Until recently, Joe Biden said Israel was not protecting civilians. Now he says they are protecting civilians. So which one is it? And Biden's hypocrisy does not end there. Let me take you back to March 2023. The ICC had issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. Listen to Joe Biden's reaction then.
Could you give us your reaction to the International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin?
Well, I think it's justified, but the question is, it's not recognized internationally by us either. But I think it makes a very strong point.
How about that? When the warrant is for Vladimir Putin, it is justified. It makes a strong point. But when it's for Netanyahu, it's outrageous. And honestly, this does not surprise us. The US always picks and chooses which rules to follow. They do not accept the ICC's jurisdiction, yet they're helping the ICC's probe against Putin. Why? Because it suits them. And forget the politics for a moment. Think about the optics. Many countries trust the ICC to make unbiased decisions. It's like a last resort for them. They cannot stand up to big powers and bullies, so they trust the International Criminal Court. And what does the US do? They make a mockery of it in public. So next time Biden talks about a rules-based order, remember this. Always ask yourself, whose rules? Internationally agreed rules or America's own rules? Of course, this whole debate is pinned on one question. Will the judges issue a warrant for Netanyahu? Well, the evidence is there. Most UN agencies have criticized Israel's war. They've also documented major crimes like collective punishment, attack on aid workers, and the targeting of hospitals. If they issued a warrant for Putin, then they're likely to issue one for Netanyahu. You heard his reaction to the whole thing. It was very aggressive and personal, and there's a reason for that. Many Western allies are wary of disobeying the ICC.
If charges were brought against someone, we're not in the habit of having political discussions about how we think it should end. We stand up for the rules. We want to live in a rules-based world.
But of course, the court is the court, and Sweden always upholds the multilateral system, and that also needs to be said very clearly.
Where the member states have said very much that the European Union supports the ICC for its central role in bringing justice to victims in all situations under its jurisdiction.
This warrant is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it has united Israel's coalition. The opposition is now backing Prime Minister Netanyahu again, so is the United States. But the question is, for how long? The warrants may not end with Netanyahu. As the case drags on, more Israeli officials could get pulled up, like war cabinet members or military leaders or intelligence officials. And all this pressure will find its way to Netanyahu. His biggest weapon has been the ideological difference between Israel and Hamas. Hamas, a terror group, Israel, a democracy. He used that distinction to deflect blame. But these warrants are shattering that difference. It's something Israel cannot afford.